Tomorrow, of course, marks the start of Term 1, and I'd like to begin by wishing the very best to all our students, as some head back to school and others, of course, enter the classroom for the very first time, in particular Class 1 students. There are a few final updates we'd like to provide for our students and parents before we head into Term 1. We've been very glad to see that parents have taken advantage of our subsidized bus fares by registering the children at the nationwide e-transport roadshows to receive the e-transport cards. When we met last week, we had only about 24,000 students who had actually gone off and registered for the e-transport cards or did their top-ups. We're happy to say we've now, as of yesterday, had 63,000 students out of the 66,000 students that registered. We've heard from many parents that they are very happy with the new system, as it has made a journey to school easier and more convenient for their children. We did see some abuse with the system last term, as you know, but as we mentioned earlier this week, we've addressed these issues and have made the system more efficient and accountable for our students. And as a reminder, all student e-transport cards can only be used from 5 a.m. in the morning to 7 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. At the start of the term, any students who need to top up the e-transport cards and they have not done so or register for a new card can also do so at the school for the next 2 weeks. The ministry is deploying 23 roving teams that will be able to assist. So we urge all parents that if you still have not registered your child and you're eligible, please go to the school with your child tomorrow on the first day. If you've not done so, fill out the forms and they'll be given the cards either that same day or in the next couple of days thereafter. We've also made arrangements with the school, the bus companies, that if the students do not have their cards, at least for the first few days, in fact for the first 2 weeks, the school bus companies and the bus companies will actually carry them without the cards. But all parents, please note, and students note, that you must have your cards within the first 2 weeks of school term beginning. So given that level of latitude. Of course, there are also some other forms of alternative transport that we do provide on a subsidized basis, such as carriers, trucks, and boats in rural and maritime areas, which we also subsidize. And these, of course, do not have e-ticketing, but as in the past, as we announced last year, these students continue to receive vouchers, and they will continue to travel under the voucher scheme. Eligible students for years 2 and up to 13 have already received a voucher to take home on the last day of school last year, which can be used on Monday for the transport to school, which is tomorrow. For the Year 1 students, parents have been able to apply for vouchers at the students' school since 10th of January. If they still have not done so, we urge them to please do so, and that can be given to them tomorrow morning when they get to school. The school's head teacher has the authority to approve these applications on the same day for the voucher scheme. If parents have yet to apply, they can accompany the students to the school on Monday to submit the application directly at the school and receive the student voucher for that day of travel. We'd also like to speak directly to our teachers and make a few things clear about the ongoing reforms in the Ministry of Education. Any education staff who did not receive the acting allowance during the holiday season has been put back on that acting allowance as of 10th of January, during the start of the student-free days ahead of Term 1. We recognize that you've served in that acting capacity in order to prepare for the first day of school, and therefore you'll be paid the acting allowance. We want to assure you you're compensated appropriately for that work. As we move to institute civil service reforms and merit-based recruitment, we also want to be very clear, no teacher will receive any pay decreases. There's some rumors going around, some teachers will receive paid decreases. That's not true at all. All school teachers who are re-engaged will be done so at a higher pay rate than they would have received prior to the job evaluation exercise, and equally important, they along with the new graduates will have greater opportunities for higher pay based on their performance. And that assessment, of course, will be carried out within the first year. So apart from the fact you've received a new pay rise, you will also be able to receive further pay rises upon assessment within the first year. New contracts that are being issued by the Ministry of Education are totally dependent on the result of the teachers' evaluations, and that pay will be supplemented by additional performance-based payments later in the year. Once the reforms are fully instituted, Fiji will have a merit-based compensation that rewards our educators for both their work and their results, resulting in a fairer system that better serves not only our teachers, but the students who are essentially our clients who work so hard to impress upon every day. Lastly, no school has the right to turn away any students that attended that school last year for any academic reasons. So we've actually had some complaints where we've had students, for example, last year we had students, for example, who were in year 12. And now when they want to go to year 13, some of the principals we've heard are turning them away because they're saying, even though they passed year 12, they're saying you have not received enough marks because they want to have a 100% pass rate. So we've had, for example, one of the major schools in the Suvavou corridor where a student received, I think, something like 295 marks. And that school is saying we'll only accept students who have actually received over 300 marks. So they're disallowing the student to go into year 13. That is not acceptable. Those principals cannot turn away those students because those students have a right to be attending the school. They have passed the exams and they must stay in those schools. I'd like to urge all parents, please, you have the right to send your child to that school. Should any teacher, parent, have concerns or complaints after the first day of the term, the ministry has for the first time set up two numbers, as we know, as we mentioned this last week. With Vodafone and Digicel, they will provide an outlet for voicing these problems and, more importantly, finding a solution. These numbers, one dedicated to student-related issues and one for teachers, will go live on Tuesday morning. So teachers, for example, who want to lodge any complaint or have any query regarding the employment, the pay, the work conditions, how they're being treated by any of the staff from the ministry's head office or any of the divisional offices, they need to dial 162. And that number will go to an independent group of civil servants who will actually attend to their issues. Any parent or any student that may have any issues pertaining to the enrollment, or any other issue that they may want to raise with the Ministry of Education, they can dial 163. These are toll-free numbers, so it does not cost them a single cent. And any parent anywhere in Fiji, any teacher anywhere in Fiji can dial this number, and of course they'll be able to get the any solution that is required for the query or the problem that they may raise. Ladies and gentlemen, our education system will excel when parents, teachers, and the community are engaged and committed to improving it. Our children need and deserve that commitment. As we gear for term one, let's all remember that our greatest goal is always the quality of the education that we can give our young people. And again, let me reiterate, 50% of our entire population is below the age of 27. And a huge percentage of that is below the age of 18, which means they're in school-going age. Our students, parents, and teachers all have the full and unwavering support of the government, and we look forward to building on our progress with very successful start to the school year. And I'd like to wish all of the school students a fantastic new year, in particular those of them who are going to year one. So thank you very much for that. That's the update we wanted to provide you, ladies and gentlemen, in respect of the schools and, of course, the beginning of the term.